Someone posted a confession at 2:43 a.m., begs the board not to quote it, then deleted the account. Too late. The thread was already saved. On LurmoStories, we read what was never meant to survive. If you make it to the end, try not to think about how easily it could have been your post. I work retail, closing shifts mostly, nothing dramatic. I cash my paycheck on Fridays, buy groceries, keep my head down. The bank branch I use is a small one, wedged between a pharmacy and a nail salon. Same tellers every time, same posters about home equity loans and smiling couples. That Monday, I stopped in on my lunch break to deposit cash. The line was short. A woman I didn't recognize waved me over. She had a neat bun, polite voice, practiced smile. She asked for my ID and typed longer than usual. Her smile stayed, but her eyes kept flicking to the screen. "Congratulations," she said finally. I thought she was joking. I asked her what for. "Your loan was approved early this morning," she said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I told her I hadn't applied for any loan, not online, not in person, not ever. She frowned, turned the monitor slightly, and pointed. My full name, correct address, social, employer listed as the store I worked at. Everything accurate. Too accurate. Loan amount, more than I made in a year. She assumed it was confusion on my end. Asked if I maybe forgot starting an application. Asked if I lived alone. Asked if anyone else had access to my mail. I said no to everything. She scrolled further and paused. "That's strange," she muttered, mostly to herself. "You waived the cooling off period." I asked what that meant. She said it meant I'd agreed to immediate disbursement. The funds had already been released, half transferred out. Half scheduled for pickup as a cashier's check. I asked where it was sent. She clicked again, then stopped talking. Behind me, the line grew. Someone coughed. The printer started up on its own, spitting out a single page that slid onto the counter between us. She didn't hand it to me, just stared at it. I asked her whose signature was on the application. She looked up at me, and for the first time, her voice dropped. "It matches the one we have on file," she said, "but it wasn't captured here." I didn't know what that meant yet. I was still trying to understand how a loan could exist without me. She excused herself to get the branch manager. As she walked away, I noticed something printed at the bottom of the page the printer had spat out. A pickup time. That afternoon. My name underneath. I left the bank without depositing the cash, walked straight back to work, clocked in early, pretended everything was normal. The register numbers swam in front of me. Every receipt felt like paperwork I hadn't signed. Around 3, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No voicemail when I ignored it. Then another call. Same number. I blocked it. At 5, my manager let me off early, said I looked sick. I went back to the bank before closing, telling myself it was the only way to fix it. The branch was quieter, lights dimmer, like the day was already over in there. The same teller wasn't at the desk. A man I'd never seen before waved me over. Older, calm, gray suit that didn't quite fit. He already had a folder on the counter when I approached. My name printed on the tab. "You're here about the check," he said, not asking. I said I wanted the loan canceled. I said there'd been a mistake. I said I never signed anything. He nodded along, flipping pages, like he'd heard it all before. He stopped at a form and turned it toward me. There was my signature again. Same slant, same pressure. Even the little hesitation before the last letter. "I don't sign my name like that anymore," I said. I don't know why I said that, but it was true. He looked up sharply. "Since when?" I told him a few years back, after some stuff. I changed it slightly. This was the old version, the one I used when I first opened the account. He smiled, just barely. "Records matter," he said. "Continuity matters." I asked who submitted the application. He tapped the folder. "You did, in person." I told him I'd never been there outside business hours. "That's correct," he said. "You came before we opened." I laughed because the alternative didn't make sense. I asked for cameras. He shook his head. "Those files aren't available." I asked why half the money was already gone. He slid another paper across. It wasn't a transfer. It was a payment. Toward a debt I'd never heard of, dated years ago, tied to an address I recognized but had never lived at. "You're just finishing something," he said gently. "The rest is for you." I asked where the check was. He pointed toward the office doors. "It's waiting. You scheduled pickup." The doors were closed. The lights behind them were off. I told him I wasn't going back there. He closed the folder. "Then it remains uncollected," he said, "and unresolved." As I turned to leave, he added, You should know, the final signature is still pending. I asked what happened if I didn't sign. He didn't answer, just watched me walk out. That night, I found an envelope on my kitchen table. No stamp, no address. Inside was a cashier's check for the remaining amount, and a pen. I didn't touch the check that night. I left it where it was and slept on the couch with the lights on. In the morning, it was still there. The pen too, lined up neatly like someone had straightened them while I wasn't looking. I called the bank as soon as they opened. Different branch, different city. I didn't mention the loan at first, just asked if there was any unusual activity on my account. There was a pause, keys clicking. The woman on the phone said my account had been marked inactive by consolidation. She said all inquiries had to go through my original branch. I asked what consolidation meant. She said, it means the account holder has completed their obligations. I went back to the branch one last time. It was closed. Middle of the day, lights off, doors locked. A paper notice was taped to the glass, crooked. Temporarily closed, system upgrade. Through the glass, I could still see the desks. Empty, no folders, no posters. The smiling couples were gone, leaving lighter rectangles on the wall. My phone buzzed, same unknown number. This time, I answered. No one spoke. I could hear room tone, fluorescent hum, paper shifting. Then the older man's voice, calm as ever. We can't hold it open much longer. I asked him what the loan was really for. He said, it balances. I asked who I owed. There was a pause. You, he said, from before. The call ended. That evening, my employer called. Said there'd been an audit. Said my employment history didn't line up cleanly anymore. Too many gaps, too many corrections. They let me go politely, like it wasn't personal. At home, the check sat on the table. The amount was exact. Not generous, not cruel. Precise. On the back was a line I hadn't noticed before. Authorized signature, final. I understood then what pending meant. Not approval, acceptance. I signed. The next morning, the check was gone. The pen, too. My bank app showed a zero balance. No transactions, no history. When I tried to open a new account online, the form stopped me at the name field. It autofilled. Not my current signature, the old one. And under it, in gray text I couldn't edit. Account restored. No further action required. I booked the place because it looked forgettable. Beige siding, 2 floors, quiet street outside Columbus. First solo trip. First short-term rental. The host's messages were polite and short, the kind that feel automated even when they aren't. Check-in was a keypad on the front door. Inside smelled like lemon cleaner and old wood. Everything staged. Folded towels, labeled drawers, a printed house guide on the counter. Rules were basic. No parties, no candles. Lock all doors and windows when leaving. I stayed 3 nights. Nothing strange the first day. I cooked pasta, watched cable, listened to the house settle. At night there were small noises, ducks ticking, something brushing the siding, but that's every unfamiliar house. Second evening, I noticed the back door. It led to a small deck and the yard beyond. The lock was old, stiff. When I turned it, it didn't click right away. I had to lift the handle slightly before it caught. I remember that because it annoyed me. Later that night, I got a message. Thanks for making sure the back door was locked. I checked the timestamp. Sent 3 minutes earlier. I hadn't told him I locked it. I hadn't messaged at all. I replied with a question mark, then deleted it. Figured it was some automated reminder that fired late. Hosts use software for that. The next morning, I left early for a conference. When I came back, the house felt aired out, like windows had been opened and closed. The thermostat was lower than I left it. I assumed the system was programmed. That night, I checked every lock carefully. Front door, back door, laundry room window, upstairs bathroom window that's stuck unless you press the frame just right. Everything secure. At 11:12 p.m., my phone buzzed. Appreciate you double-checking tonight. This time, I didn't delete my reply. How did you know? The typing bubble appeared, vanished, then appeared again. Just good habits on your part. Most guests forget. I sat on the couch, phone in my hand, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. The house guide was still on the counter. I flipped it open again. On the last page, in smaller text than the rest, was a line I was sure hadn't been there before. If the house is locked properly, everyone stays where they belong. I checked the back door one more time. The handle moved down easily. It hadn't been locked at all. The handle shouldn't have moved. I was sure I'd locked it. I stood there longer than I needed to, staring at the thin gap between the door and the frame, waiting for something to explain itself. Nothing did. I locked it again, slower this time, lifting the handle until the bolt slid into place with a dull metal sound. I tugged on it twice. Solid. I went upstairs and didn't turn the lights off right away. The bedroom felt too orderly, like a display room that resets when you leave. My suitcase was exactly where I'd left it, shoes aligned beneath the bench. Still, I checked inside the closet. Empty. Just extra hangers and a folded blanket sealed in plastic. I lay down without sleeping. Around 1 a.m., I heard movement below me. Not footsteps, more like a door being tested. A soft rattle, then another. It came from the direction of the kitchen. I opened the Airbnb app, heart steady but alert, and scrolled back through the message history. The host name was still there, but the profile picture didn't load anymore, just a gray circle. I typed, "Are you nearby?" The response came immediately. No, that's why locking up matters. I didn't reply. The sound downstairs stopped. Minutes passed. Then I heard the back door again, this time the unmistakable scrape of the handle being lifted, carefully, patiently, like someone who knew the trick. The lock held. Something on the other side exhaled. Not loud, controlled, close enough that I could imagine the breath fogging the glass. I stayed in the bedroom until morning. At first light, I went down slowly. The back door was still locked. The deck outside was empty, damp with dew. On the kitchen counter, next to the house guide, was something new. A small brass key, placed neatly on a napkin. My phone buzzed. "Looks like you figured it out." I packed immediately. As I rolled my suitcase toward the door, I noticed the napkin had writing on it, pressed deep enough to leave grooves. "This one's for when you forget." I left the key where it was. In the car, I ended the stay early. No refund request, no complaint. I just wanted distance. An hour into the drive, a new notification came in. "Thanks again for locking up before you left." I pulled over and checked the timestamp. Sent 12 minutes after I'd driven away. That night, at my hotel, I locked the door twice before sleeping. In the morning, housekeeping knocked to tell me I'd left something behind. A small brass key, on a napkin, with my name written underneath. I didn't touch the key. I told housekeeping it wasn't mine. They apologized and took it away, but I watched the cart roll down the hall until it turned the corner, just to be sure. I checked out early and drove home the same day. The trip was written off as stress, unfamiliar space, bad luck. That's what I told myself. That's what I told people who asked. A week later, I got the review notification. Guest left the property in excellent condition, followed house rules perfectly. I hadn't left a review yet. The listing was gone when I clicked it. Not unavailable, gone. No host profile, no address, no message history. Just an error page. I forgot about it for a while. Months passed. Then I moved apartments. First night in the new place, I noticed the back door didn't quite latch unless you lifted the handle. Same motion, same resistance. I told myself it was common hardware, nothing more. Out of habit, I checked all the windows before bed. One in the living room slid open too easily. I locked it and pulled the curtain shut. When I turned around, there was a folded napkin on the kitchen counter. I lived alone. I was sure of that. The napkin was clean, unused, placed dead center like someone had measured it. No key this time, just an indentation in the paper, words pressed hard enough to feel with a fingertip. "Good to see you're still careful." I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch until sunrise, lights on, phone in my hand, listening to the apartment breathe. In the morning, the napkin was gone. Nothing else ever happened. No noises, no messages, no more keys. But every place I stay now, hotels, rentals, friends' houses, I lock everything. Not once, not twice, I check until my hands hurt. Sometimes, when the lock finally catches, my phone buzzes. No sender, no text, just a single notification preview before it disappears. Thank you. It started the night I was working late at the downtown office. I usually leave around 9:30 p.m., But that evening, I had to finish a report that had to be sent before midnight. The building's lobby was mostly empty. Just the janitor pushing a cart of cleaning supplies down the hallway, the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly. I grabbed my coat, headed to the underground parking garage, and noticed immediately that something felt off. The lot was mostly empty, which wasn't unusual at that hour, but as I walked toward my car, I had this strange feeling, like I was being watched. Not in a paranoid, someone's behind you way. I looked over my shoulder multiple times, and there was nobody. Still, that sensation didn't go away. My footsteps echoed in the concrete space, bouncing off the columns, and I caught the glint of surveillance cameras above every row. There were a lot of them. One in particular, the one right above the row where my car was parked, seemed angled almost directly at me. I shook it off. Cameras follow everything, right? I muttered. When I reached my car, my phone buzzed, a notification from the building's security app. Usually, it just tells me if the lot is full or open. This time, it said, "Camera offline at row F." I frowned. That was where I was. I paused, looked up, and the camera didn't move. Oddly, it seemed to track me perfectly, following my steps toward the car. I unlocked the door, slipped in, and as soon as I sat down, I noticed the reflection in my rearview mirror. In the polished chrome of the garage signage above, the camera lens seemed almost aware. It wasn't spinning or tilting, it just shifted slightly when I moved, like it was waiting. I decided to check with the security desk before leaving. The booth was at the garage entrance, manned by a guy named Ortiz. He was middle-aged, bald, with this perpetually tired expression that somehow made him seem more alert than anyone else around. "Hey, Ortiz, the camera at row F, does it ever act like it's following someone?" I asked. He looked at me, squinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Row F? Cameras? You mean that one?" He leaned back, rubbed the side of his head. "Nah, the whole system's offline tonight. Something about maintenance. We're just doing visual patrols on foot." "Offline?" I repeated. "So that camera shouldn't even be recording, right?" Ortiz shrugged. "Not a single frame tonight. Go on, drive safe." I thanked him, walked back to my car, and that same uneasy feeling returned. As I started the engine, I caught the corner of my eye, the camera above row F. It tilted again. Not mechanically, it was subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to make me pause. My chest tightened. I had no explanation. The lot was dark, quiet. I should have been relieved the system was offline. Instead, it felt like the garage itself was holding its breath, and I was the only thing alive in it. I didn't notice it at first, but then a car horn honked somewhere in the distance, echoing oddly off the concrete walls. There was no one near the exit, just the sound, lingering too long. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone was leaving late too, but the echo felt deliberate, timed with my own movements. I got into my car, locked the doors, and decided to drive out slowly, keeping my eyes on that camera. Every inch I moved, the lens seemed to follow. I turned on the interior light for a better look. It blinked, just once, a tiny red flash, like it knew I was watching. And then I noticed something I couldn't explain. Shadows along the far wall of the lot, stretching and twisting in ways that didn't match the lights or the columns. It was a long walk to the exit, and I kept checking my mirrors. Nothing was behind me. No one. And yet, something wasn't right. I didn't know what I was expecting. A malfunction, a prank. But even when I told myself the camera couldn't work tonight, every instinct screamed that I wasn't alone. By the time I reached the garage door, my hands were sweaty. Ortiz waved from the booth, casual as ever. "Late night, huh?" he said. I nodded. "Yeah, just finishing up some work." He smiled, but there was something in his eyes, something small and sharp, that made me hesitate. Something like he knew exactly what I'd just seen. I drove out. The garage doors closed behind me with that metallic thud. Safe, I thought. But the memory of the camera, and that one tiny, impossible tilt, stayed with me. The next night, I found myself parking in the same garage again. I told myself it was just habit. I'd worked late a lot, and this was the most convenient spot. But the moment I drove in, the air felt heavier, almost denser. The fluorescent lights flickered intermittently, and the echoes of my tires on concrete sounded different, sharper. I parked in row F, right under that same camera. My stomach knotted. I'd tried to forget the previous night, but the image of that tiny, impossible tilt haunted me. I checked the security app again. System offline for maintenance. Same as before. I took my bag and headed toward the elevator, but something caught my attention. On the ground near my car, a faint scuff mark appeared. It looked like the edge of a shoe had dragged, but my shoes were clean. I bent down, trying to see if it was dirt or some stain left by someone else. But the mark was too precise, too deliberate. I froze. Not literally, but I couldn't move. It wasn't possible. This garage was empty when I parked. I looked around, columns casting long, jagged shadows. Nothing. Yet the mark was there, aligned with where I'd opened the door. I decided to check with Ortiz again. The booth was quiet. He glanced up, half smile, eyes flicking somewhere past me. Back so soon? I cleared my throat. Yeah, the camera last night. Did you check the footage? He frowned. Footage? I told you, the system's offline, nothing to see. Nothing at all? I pressed. He leaned forward, voice quieter. Trust me, nothing tonight either. Something in the way he said it didn't sit right. There was a pause, and then his gaze drifted down the ramp. Just keep your eyes open, yeah? I nodded, unsettled. The elevator dinged behind me, and I went up. At my floor, the hallway was empty, silent, and normal, but that faint sense of being watched lingered. I didn't sleep well again that night. My dreams were filled with fluorescent lights and black columns stretching forever. But it wasn't until the following week that things escalated. I arrived at the garage around the same time, row F again. This time, the camera above me seemed almost lower, like the lens had shifted. I checked the app, still offline. I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was a trick of perspective. As I approached my car, I noticed something new. The rear windshield wiper was slightly raised. I never touch that. It always rests flush. My hands trembled as I pushed it back down. That's when I saw it. Faint fingerprints on the roof, smudged in a pattern that didn't belong to me. I scanned the lot. Empty. Not a soul in sight. And yet, the shadows along the far wall seemed to stretch toward me again, like they were aware of my movements. I got into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. My interior lights reflected in the windshield, and there it was, the camera above row F. It tilted again, slowly, ever so slightly, tracking me. I could swear it wasn't mechanical. I backed out carefully. As I neared the ramp, the car horn honked again, 2 short beeps this time, echoing oddly. The sound lingered, warped, like it came from every corner of the garage at once. My pulse spiked. I pulled up to Ortiz at the booth. Ortiz, it's happening again. The camera, the shadows. Someone's messing with me, or... He shook his head slowly, almost mournfully. Like I said, keep your eyes open. There was no fear in his voice, just certainty, and maybe something else I couldn't place. I drove off, and the garage receded behind me. But the feeling of being followed didn't leave. It happened again a few nights later. I tried avoiding row F, tried parking elsewhere, but something drew me back. Habit, stubbornness, or maybe the hope that last week had just been coincidence. I pulled into the garage at 9:40 p.m. The fluorescent lights were flickering as usual, but now they seemed harsher, more deliberate. I parked in row F, under the familiar camera, and something about it made my stomach drop instantly. The lens, it was pointing straight at me. Not mechanically, it felt like it had moved while I wasn't looking. I checked my phone. Offline. No signal, no footage, nothing. I wanted to leave immediately, but I noticed something on the ground near my car. Tiny, almost imperceptible scratches in the concrete, leading from the column to my passenger side door. Footprints? Scrapes? They didn't match my shoes. I swallowed hard and touched the edge of my car. The metal was cold, too cold for the night air. I glanced down the lot. Shadows pooled in the corners, darker than they should be. There was a rhythm now, subtle but unmistakable. Every time I moved, a shadow along the far wall shifted slightly, like it was pacing with me. I called Ortiz, my voice low, shaky. Ortiz? You're not gonna believe this. The camera, the scratches, it's happening again. Someone's here. He answered immediately, calm, voice flat. I told you, kid, keep your eyes open. No, listen, something's not right. He interrupted. Look, go, drive, just leave, don't look back, just go. I hung up, unease crawling up my spine. I got into my car and started the engine. As I shifted into reverse, I saw it in the rear view. The camera above me tilted again, tiny but deliberate, following my every move. Not a mechanical tilt, more like awareness. I eased toward the exit. The garage was empty, yet the horn honked again, longer this time, echoing from every corner. My pulse was in my throat. Then I noticed something that made my skin crawl. My rearview mirror reflected a figure standing near the exit booth. I squinted. Ortiz. But not him, not exactly. The features were off, almost too still, too calculated. He raised a hand slowly, almost politely, as if gesturing me forward. I couldn't stop staring. My foot hovered over the brake, but I forced myself to drive. The garage lights flickered and dimmed, shadows twisting with the corners of my vision. I dared one glance in the rearview mirror. The figure was gone. I reached the exit ramp. The metallic thud of the gate closing behind me sounded wrong, too loud, too final. I drove onto the street and didn't stop until I reached my apartment. When I got home, I checked the security feed from my phone, just the lobby camera. Everything normal. Nothing in the garage. No footage of row F, no scratches, no shadows, no horn. I called Ortiz again. "Hey, can you check something for me? Row F?" "System's still offline," he said calmly. "Everything's fine. You need to stop thinking about it so much." I hung up, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Every time I left my apartment, I checked the garage. Every time I parked in row F, every single time, I had the same uneasy certainty that I was being watched. The shadows moved when I did. The lens followed me, even when it shouldn't. I told no one else. People would call me paranoid, but I don't think it's paranoia anymore. I know what I saw, what I felt. And every night I wonder, if the system is offline, who or what is still watching? Because sometimes, when I drive by the garage late at night, I swear I see the camera tilt, ever so slightly, like it remembers me. And maybe it's waiting. You made it through every story, every screenshot, every uneasy detail. You've been with LurmoStories, and now it's your turn to decide which of these stories was a lie and which one wasn't.